Oh, the pain!
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I'll rap through thought.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host Jan. Chelsea have lost the FA Cup semi-final. That felt like a final, didn't it? The FA Cup semi-final to Manchester City, to a late dagger from Bernardo Silva. That was a pretty good goal, considering it was one of those goals where the goalkeeper sort of understandably makes a save. It lands in a frustrating place after a De Bruyne cross. Bernardo Silva quality finishes it off. Look, as loathed as I am to align myself in any way whatsoever with Jermaine Genius, who of course was on co-coms for the BBC for this semi-final. Pochettino didn't deserve that result, and I know it's become a bit of a meme. Chelsea are 4th in the league on XG and all that kind of stuff. And I've maintained my position very sternly on Pochettino. At this point, like, I could take him or leave him. I never really was like massively pro Poch from the beginning. I understand why he was hired, but, you know, my positions always remain the same. But to look at elements and games in isolation, we set up brilliantly against this team. We had 10 shots to their 14. We had 5 on target to their 3. We'll talk about the missed chances, Nico Jackson's 3 chances. And to be honest, man, like, this team is close to being good. I know Man City were the favourites. In fact, they were the heavy favourites, even though they played Champions League midweek, got knocked out, played 120 minutes. Of course, they rotated the side. They've still got immense quality. They're just a way better coached team with better players that are used to winning like multiple league titles. They currently won the treble. This is the kind of settled team you're up against. It did give us an edge that they had that midweek excursion, but their experience and quality shone through in the end. And yes, we'll talk about players missing chances and stuff, but I just want to get it in early. Like, I think Pochettino set up perfectly, you know, in a team where you don't have Nkunku, Reece James, Lavia, Wesley Fofana, and the players that he's been learning to sort of utilize over the season that's been available to him. I don't think with the players that he had and the opposition that he was facing, I don't think Pochettino could have done anything else. And we're going to talk about it, of course. Oh man, it's like, it was a spicy game as well. Like, Kevin De Bruyne, who won man of the match on the day, which I'm not sure I agree with, was kind of like became a bit of a hatchet man. Like, he was putting in loads of tackles. He looked generally very, very tired. It's just hurt so much. We'll talk about Jackson and his 3 chances in just a moment. In terms of substitutions, John Stones comes off at halftime, I think, with an injury. We got some bookings in the first half as well. Caicedo got booked in the first half. Maybe it was a bit of a lucky boy to not get a second one. Not saying there was a travesty. There was a couple of Chelsea penalty claims. One with Kyle Walker sort of shouldering a player. That was the exact same challenge was given against Mudryk right at the end of the game. I don't think that's like, I don't think that's a travesty. Of course, there's the free kick that hits Grealish's arm about there. I don't think it's the biggest like scandal of all time that penalty isn't given, because there's something about jumping in a wall when your arm's coming back down or something, that it's not like he's gone like that. Do you know what I mean? But I think it was a penalty. I do. I think it was a penalty, and that's not on Michael Oliver, the referee in the day. That's on VAR to say, actually, that I think this is a penalty, Michael. He hits his arm and stops it from going through the wall. But despite that, I saw City fans on Twitter being like, okay, yeah, we got away with one a little bit there. But I don't think it's like an absolute scandal. So I just wanted to sort of nail my colours to the mast there. But, we should have had a penalty. And should we have got that penalty, then Cole Palmer would have scored it, and the story would have all been about him. Guardiola played with his like a unique sort of free centre back. Well, he played Walker, Akanji, and Ake at the back, with John Stones stepping into midfield. Where Akanji sort of took that role. Of course, Rodri played. There was the floating number 10s of Foden and De Bruyne. Silva played on the right. Grealish played on the left. Alvarez played up front. We saw Doku come on, which actually caused us a lot of problems, and that sort of finished off Gusto. We saw Oscar Bob come on for... Who did he come on for? Alvarez. And then, of course, Ruben Dias came on for Stones. Chelsea played a 4-2-3-1. He kept the same back four that kept a clean sheet at Everton. And the 6-0, I was worried about that because I thought there's one thing, keeping a clean sheet at home against a poor attacking Everton side when they're having an off day as well against Man City at Wembley. But it was the correct decision. I think Cucurella and Gusto were excellent. Cucurella, like, defensively, really, really good. You can see why, now and again, he's the player that Man City wanted to sign before we signed him. And of course, we saw the Thiago Silva Chalobah partnership continue, which actually makes a lot of sense when there's proper legs like Chalobah next to Thiago Silva, so Thiago can sort of drop back and dictate. The double pivot, the £220 million double pivot of dreams, was put back together with Fernandes and Caicedo. I mean, they both got booked, so did the goalkeeper. They played well enough, didn't they? They played well enough. Fernandes is not to his optimum level. He said it. Neither of them are up to their optimum level. We know they have high ceilings in their performances, hence, a bidding war for Caicedo over £110 million. And Enzo Fernandez, best young player of the World Cup. We've seen it, and we've seen even moments in the Chelsea shirt. They're not living up to their potential at the moment. But in terms of how the game went here, they did their jobs totally fine. The attacking four, Cole Palmer started in the 10. Noni Madueke on the right, so that was the same, of course, behind Jackson, so that was the same as we saw at Everton, but Conor Gallagher played at left wing. Now, I have a feeling that is to nullify and help that Kyle Walker side, because Man City is so much better in when they've got Kyle Walker at full pace flying, and clearly that was a concern. And actually, at the beginning of the game, I think Conor Gallagher locked down Kyle Walker well, but I was sort of calling for a left winger long before it happened. We brought Mudryk on. I think that was a mistake. I mean, I understand in theory that space to run into, in hindsight's 2020, but the fact how Raheem Sterling in both league games in the Premier League has just completely had Kyle Walker's number, I just thought I wanted him to start, really, but I think he should have come on and played left wing. Palmer, of course, moves over to the right when Madueke comes off. I think Madueke did alright, won a couple of corners, but I just don't think the attack was set up properly and fully. So let's talk about Nico Jackson up top, because I've been championing him of late, talking about his progress with no longer getting dissent yellow cards, with no longer being offside, of which both were huge problems for him. Of course, he got an assist and a lovely goal against Everton, touch, turn and finish. And even in this game, to be in those positions, to have those chances, is good. Now, I think if Chelsea truly want to be elite, maybe you got to put Jackson on ice as the second striker and get a new striker in. And who knows? I feel like the ceiling for Nico Jackson is very, very high. He's 22 years old. He clocks regularly over 30 kilometers an hour in a game in terms of speed. He's always available. He never gasses out. He will always make the runs, and he'll always find himself in goal-scoring positions. Now, of course, the headline is Jackson's trio of misses will let Chelsea down. Maybe, of course, there's a degree of truth to that. I feel like he's doing his striker job well in terms of everything that he's meant to do apart from his finishing, right? Like, we've had many a striker at Chelsea, they're just like passengers not involved. He's always involved, and he's always available, which is massive. And he does have techers in terms of combinational play. I'm frustrated. I feel like he should have scored a goal, but if you look at the BBC broadcast again showed the XG value of his free chances. Now, I saw people saying that he missed free sitters, which simply isn't true. And I know a lot of people don't give credence to expected goals. I do. I feel like it's quite a sophisticated metric now, especially as more and more time has gone on. It's just the way it is, right? So the XG value of all three of those chances that people are talking about is 0.7. And that, XG is like an elite a good Premier League striker or a top level striker. So a top level striker scores 0.7 goals out of those 3 chances, right? So a top striker scores a goal out of those chances, generally 1 goal. But the narrative of him missing 3 sitters, I think is very unfair. I don't want to give him a free ride. Look, it's great you've got 13 goals this season. It's great you can play on the wing and up front. And again, in this Chelsea injury-laden side, the fact how you're always available, like, wherever your position is on Jackson would be totally screwed without him because we have no alternatives to play up front, and actually play a centre-forward role in making the runs and holding the ball up, which he can do. And you don't want, and people might say, oh, play Palmer up top. You don't want Palmer making runs and holding the ball up. You want him doing what he's been doing to get him 20 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League this season, So I just don't want to start like this hate campaign on Nico Jackson because I think it's unfair and it's misguided. But at the same time, yes, I wish this young, inexperienced striker did have a moment at Wembley and score one of the chances. Of course, I feel like, it's important to highlight that. So yes, and in the first half, I saw the XG philosophy tweet. I think we had 0.3 XG, which isn't much, but it was, it shows you that Jackson hadn't been missing loads of chances. But also, we had more than Man City. So we were the better team in the first half. And I'd say largely, obviously we looked at the stats, they only had 3 shots on target. We had 5 shots on target. So that's one thing. They had more possession, but we had 37% possession, but that's totally fine. That's going to happen. We still had 10 shots to their 14. We had less offsides than them, so our forwards weren't running offside, which actually, considering we were playing on the counter-attack a lot, is pretty good, pretty equal for fouls, pretty equal for pass accuracy or whatever. I'm really annoyed because I feel that we're set up, all things considered, in terms of where we are as a team developmentally, what players are available, who you're coming up against. I feel that we couldn't have set up better. I think Pochettino was let down by, again, I don't want to single out a player. Like, I could say Jackson should score one of those chances. Or I could say Mudryk shouldn't just kick that free kick out to touch our final chance of the game. I don't think it was the right decision to bring him on. Gallagher, but the players work hard. Gallagher, should we talk about player performances then? I think Petrovic looked better in goal. I think he made a couple of good saves. Ultimately the only goal in the game that would prove to be the winner. He obviously sort of knocks out away a De Bruyne cross that lands to Bernardo Silva, which it's just a bit of that. It's just one of those things, isn't it, that goal? I think Cucurella was excellent. I think Gusto was excellent. I think the back four were great, actually. Yeah, I think the back four were great. I think the midfield probably could have been better. Fernandes and Caicedo. People will talk about our chances, but let me just quickly, but while I'm recording, I just want to quickly look at this, the XG philosophy. So they will say at full. So yeah, at halftime, right? At halftime, it was 0.16 City, 0.28 to Chelsea. So, and at full time, it was 0.86 to City, 1.29 to Chelsea. Chelsea created more chances, better chances than Man City, but there's just a moment of quality from them there. Despite that 1.29 XG that Chelsea accumulated for the entire game, I feel like the midfield. Sorry, my mind's getting melted here. The midfield, the Fernandes and Caicedo. I feel like they could have done better to create more chances in terms of how the players are playing. Look, what do we learn from this, guys? First of all, that's an opportunity to qualify for the Europa League out, because we could have won, and then we could have, winning finals at Wembley isn't really our jam at the moment, or in the last few years, which is just pain. When was the last final we won at Wembley? It was Antonio Conte, wasn't it? 2018. So 6 years ago. Jesus. 6 years ago. So yeah, we haven't, we'd have to change that voodoo around anyway. But, so yeah, we're not going to qualify there. Man United, I feel like we'd beat them, and Coventry might even beat Man United. Probably not, but you know. And imagine if we got to the final and lost to Coventry. Jesus. We'd never be able to live that down. Anyway, that's by the by now, isn't it? But it's a good team. There's the makings of a good team there. There's just missing a couple of things. A couple of things to eliminate treble-winning Man City in a semi-final in the FA Cup, you know. We'll see how we develop in the rest of the season. But ultimately, I kind of feel bad for Poch. I want to know what you think, guys. Please do let me know. Comment down below. I'll be keen to learn your thoughts, feelings and opinions. Obviously, I'm bummed out, but of course I'm going to be. And yeah, so subscribe, like, blah, 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 blah. See you soon.